on, guys? K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. Now, as you know, I am traveling a bit, but I wanted to bring this update to you because, man, there is something we need to talk about right now. And it's not the fact that, first of all, we had the Fed raising rates, right? Bitcoin really wasn't affected. We had the Financial Service Committee, US, whatever they're called. They passed two bills, very, very huge for crypto. We're going to get into that in this video, let you know exactly the significance and importance of that. But also, we have three different factors right now that are all lining up for Bitcoin, and it is going to be crazy when this storm finally hits. It could be the perfect storm, if you will, right? The calm before the storm. I know everybody's bored right now. Everybody's thinking nothing's going to happen. I'm tired. We have a fear and greed basically completely at neutral, absolute boredom. But as I said, guys, this is crazy, and you have to see how this is going to play out because these three factors, I believe, could actually lead to the craziest possible Bitcoin bull run that we have seen in history, and it might even be the last big bull run, realistically. So we're going to talk about all that today, and on-chain data is also signaling something. So watch what the whales are doing. Don't listen to the FUD. Let's dive in. Let's have a look. So Bitcoin continues to still go sideways over a month. However, you can see that now we're sitting down here below all of this support that we had right here. So we actually are putting in a bit of lower lows and lower highs. Now, I did show you that this does resemble a falling wedge, and generally speaking, a falling wedge is a bullish continuation pattern, right? So according to this, we should continue to the upside, but is that what there is to be expected? Because right now, we are basically totally neutral. Everyone is completely bored right now. You could see 50, 51, 52. So really has not been that exciting. We did have a bit of a greedy month overall, but nevertheless, it does appear that everyone is quite bored. And the thing that is also signaling that to us is this Bollinger Band on the weekly. You could see up here, right here, guys, we are at the lowest levels that we have literally ever seen in the history of Bitcoin. And we know that every time we get down to these very, very low levels, we generally look for pretty big moves, whether to the upside or to the downside. But, considering that we're actually forming this cup and handle, and we are coming out of a year and a half downtrend, this signals to me that we're most likely looking to break to the upside. Now, I wanted to start a little bit with my one of my good friends, Trader Tardigrade, over on Twitter, and he says pre-halving moves are promising. The bull run starts around 16 months before the next halving and continues the uptrend after halving. Bitcoin is at the beginning of a massive cycle. So according to this, we should be starting the beginning of that massive bull cycle. Now, I'm going to show you my opinion and whether or not we could hit some of these crazy levels, because for example, he's saying if we stay within this channel, you're looking at ultimately a $200,000 Bitcoin target potentially before the year 2025. Now, is this possible? Well, a lot of people would have called this out as being a lot of hopium a while ago, but let's just have a look and see exactly what's going on, because you could see right here that the exchange whale ratio has dropped right off a cliff. I mean, look at this, boom, right there. So that is letting us know that these whales are accumulating and they are taking the crypto off exchanges. I mean, you could see the last time we were this low was back here in January of 2018. And what's crazy is, what started happening? Boom. That was, that was signaling the end of the top of this over here. But what's interesting is if we look at the inflows, they are at the lowest points since since 2015. So these big whales are not sending in their coins to the exchanges, right? And, I actually saw this post over on Reddit, shout out to Zine313, but listen to these three crazy reasons why we could be approaching a massive bull run. Number one, we have the world's biggest asset managers entering the crypto market, right? So you have all this credibility from these big players, and you know how much capital these guys bring in, right? They say despite interest rates reaching 20-year maximum, the crypto market has exhibited remarkable resilience and stability. In fact, it's actually gone up in value. And then, of course, we have the halving effect. And, something else just to mention right here about interest rates is that right now, we really shouldn't be moving up the way that we are, considering that the Fed has been hammering down so hard. But just imagine what happens when we do have the halving, right, which is next year. And then we do have the interest rates starting to actually come down, which then will make investors more risk on, right? They'll get into more riskier assets. And then, of course, you potentially may have an ETF approved. I mean, this could literally be the wildest, craziest, most massively insane bull run that we've seen in a long, long time. And it may even be the final bull run. It may, not the final, but it may be the one that, you really just don't ever get these gains again. And you can see open interest, which, by the way, options expiries are happening today. So they're looking at potentially higher price levels as well, up to 31. So getting back again to this. So could we potentially see a $200,000 target? Now, I'm going to get into the TA, I'm going to get into the news, but I just wanted to entertain these thoughts right now, just simply because price is pretty boring right now, let's be honest. So having a look right here, I already drew this Fibonacci, but if you don't understand how we get that, basically what you do is you go from the top of the previous peak, which is right here, you can see right here, and we bring it all the way down to the bottom of that level, and you can see exactly what is happening right now. Zooming in, you can see that this is acting as a resistance, right? So this is the 1.618. Now, I want to just talk about something interesting. You can see we never really quite made it up here all the way to the top. That would have gave us a target 4.23 at around 74,000, but we did hit this target right here, right? Which was around $65,000 for Bitcoin. So out of curiosity, if history was to play out somewhat similarly, let's not say that the exact same thing happens, but if we take this Fibonacci from the top right here, we stretch it all the way out to the bottom, well, where does that actually leave us? Well, if we come over here and we have a look, okay, and this is basic, like I said, we're not going to get the exact same thing, it's not going to happen exactly like the previous, but just having this look right here, this puts us potentially, if you think we're going to go back to the 3.618, that brings us to $209,000 right here. Or if you think we won't even go that whole, diminishing returns, the 2.618, that puts us at about $155,000. And even if you want to lowball it on the 1.618, which is easily attainable during the next run based on the previous structure, even that is sitting at around $102,000. So is $200,000 possible? Well, you can see right here, ultimately, that would be right there, basically. So what is that increase from where we are right now? Let's actually do a measured move on that. About 580%. I mean, it's very possible. What did we get from bottom to top in the last market? What was this? That was 1,700%. So yeah, looking at diminishing returns, looking at maybe we'll get half as much, then yes, I do think that that's a very plausible price target considering all of those factors that we spoke about. Of course, guys, on the short term, we're looking to be supported by this upward sloping trend. We already have come down here and tapped around the 28,000. If we do fall below this, is it time to freak out? Not necessarily, because as I said, we've never tested this downward sloping trend, so we could have a retest before the continuation to the upside. Of course, the level we're looking at to break is around that 31,000, with our next short-term target at around $37,000. So if you guys want to learn how to trade, take advantage of those bonuses above. There is $56,000. Use the links below. There are a lot of different opportunities. And also, just so you guys know, there is a Bybit trading competition right now. So if you guys are interested in that, you can also make some money in that competition. So short term, we just really don't want to kind of fall out of this because then that would invalidate this flag or this pennant that we're forming. So really, we're sitting exactly at the level that we need to break. So we need to get above 29,400. And if we do break out, that could be an opportunity for a long because that could validate this falling wedge pattern. Of course, falling below around this sort of right here, this 28.5, 26, that's an issue we should pay attention to as well. So I'm getting bored of talking about the TA, guys. It's been the same TA for a month. Talking about Cathie Wood remaining bullish on Bitcoin. She says that she sees 3 revolutions taking place because of crypto. Bitcoin is going to dominate the first one, which is the money revolution. And she goes on to say that, the biggest proof is that when all these bank stocks were falling apart and banks were going under, Bitcoin went from 19,000 to 30,000. She says that was a flight to safety, and we expect it to accelerate. The centralized monetary system we have today is an aberration. We could be going back to the future before the Federal Reserve existed under a digital rules-based monetary system with no government oversight. The second revolution, she says, is in financial services or so-called DeFi. So we know what that is. And then, of course, last but not least, we have digital property, things like NFTs or the metaverse. So big win for crypto, especially in the US. Finally, we have some decently good news coming out. The majority of U.S. lawmakers voted in favor of the Financial Innovation and Technology Act for the 21st century, as well as Blockchain Regulatory Certainty Act. The House Financial Service Committee approved the Financial Innovation and Technology for the 21st Century Act in a 35-15 vote. So this is going to establish rules for crypto firms on whether to register with either the CFTC or the SEC. The Republican bill also outlines a process for firms to certify with the SEC that their projects are adequately decentralized, allowing them to register digital assets as a digital commodity with the CFTC. So finally, something is happening. I was going to play this video, but it's actually quite boring. It's mostly just Tom Emmer saying thank you. But meanwhile, it says the Blockchain Regulatory Certainty Act, sponsored by Tom Emmer and Darren Soto, aims to set out guidelines removing hurdles and requirements for blockchain developers. We also have some advancements in stablecoin regulation as well. And he says that this is a huge win for the United States. Now, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Obviously, the SEC has been giving these Bitcoin spot ETFs a very, very difficult time. But we did have Grayscale reaching out and saying that the SEC should approve all spot Bitcoin ETFs simultaneously to grant equal treatment to all applicants. Grayscale Investments said in a statement. So, you have all these guys. You have ARK 21 Shares, Invesco Galaxy, BlackRock, Valkyrie, VanEck, Wisdom Tree, Fidelity. Okay, this would be crazy if we had all of this. If, just like I said, imagine, we have the halving, we have the rates coming down, we have these ETFs. They said it would be a sudden and significant change. And so they basically think that they should do that. And obviously they're still in a battle with the SEC over theirs. But, like Peter Brandt, I don't know if you know him, he's a trader. He said, let's get one thing clear. Gary Gensler has a history of failing at protecting investors. All professional speculators know this. Power-hungry, bald man. I made a loss when 3 commodity brokers went bankrupt due to fraudulent activities. Gensler was then chairman of the CFTC, the government agency tasked with protecting clients against commodity brokerage firms. Of course, that didn't happen. Gensler also played a dubious role in the failure of FTX. We've talked about their connections. He says, don't let this guy tell you anything about his commitment to protecting investors, right? Now, speaking of protecting investors, I'm not going to I don't want to take the side of the SEC, but I do want to say this was a very interesting statistic. Now, I believe that everyone should be able to invest in whatever they want, right? It's your money. As long as you're not hurting anybody, I think you should be able to do whatever you want with it. That's just my opinion. But here's an interesting statistic. So we know that in 2021, we had tons of venture capital pouring into crypto, but they did this report by Lattice that shows about 2 years later, only about 5% of these projects and companies have actually ended up developing a product that has gained real market traction. So that means 95% of them are not currently successful. This analyzed over 800 crypto companies that received $2.6 billion in investment throughout 2021. It found overall only 5% actually made it to a viable product stage. Of the remaining 70% of the companies, they're still stuck in development after shipping a product to mainnet, while around 20% have packed up and shut down completely. So again, jumping into some of these cryptocurrencies, everybody wants to jump in. Everybody wants to make $1 million. Everybody wants to find the next 100x. And, if you are hoping on these, if they are, being treated like securities, well, then I, feel bad because, about 95% of them really don't have much to show for, which can be translated into 95% of really what's in the crypto market is really just crap, basically. So be very careful when you are speculating. And remember also why crypto and Bitcoin are such a good solution to the problems that we have right now. I mean, here's just a story from Turkey. It says the decline of the Turkish lira and the political landscape have led to solutions from the crypto ecosystem like Bitcoin and Tether. You have the Turkish lira depreciating against major fiat currencies, 356% decline against the US dollar over the past 5 years. Now that's bad considering that it has a 356% decline while the US dollar was also declining as well. In contrast though, during the same period, Bitcoin appreciated 216%. So yeah, it just goes to show you that there is use cases, and even accessing dollars is a little bit difficult. So if they don't want to gamble on the Bitcoin, even just getting some USDT or USDC might be a good idea. And I don't know if you guys saw this, but I just wanted to end on a bit of a good note here. And I don't know if you guys saw this, but I did want to just end on a bit of a, positive note. Cool story here. So RFK Jr. was over on a Twitter Spaces with Scott Melker. Now we know that he is pro-Bitcoin, but he actually came out and said right after the Bitcoin conference, he got a big check. And he said, okay, you know what? I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. And so he bought 2 Bitcoin for every one of his 7 children. So he bought 14 Bitcoin? Is that what we're to gather? So we're going to end on that, guys. But as we've been talking about, it really, really, really is getting crunch time. And even just having a look right here, we could be looking for that breakout or breakdown very, very soon. So that is something that you have to consider. I mean, it really is the perfect storm when you think about it. And right now, things can seem really bad. The regulation in the US, really sucks. Everything's kind of stagnant right now. But at the same time, we are eventually going to see the Bitcoin halving, right? That's going to happen either way. That's going to happen. The ETF, we don't really know, but we assume, right? At some point, there will be one approved. And we know eventually the Fed is going to start cutting the rates. So when we have those rates falling, we have ETFs available, and we also have the Bitcoin halving effect, it could get pretty crazy pretty fast. So as I said, guys, if you do want to learn how to trade, make sure you check out this tutorial popping up right here, right now. I know it seems boring, but I have a feeling that things are going to get pretty crazy, pretty fast, pretty soon. So I am traveling, guys, but I'll try to make videos while I'm out. So until next time, stay crypto. Let me know what you guys think below in the comments. And of course, peace out.